Hey, Whitney, have you noticed that the old ways of working aren't working anymore?
Yes, Iris. Let's talk about it. Good morning, Iris.
Good morning, Whitney. Oh, you're noticing that I'm in the, I call it the garbage place. Sometimes we have to do these recordings when we don't quite feel ourselves or our best selves, and it feels like
neither of us are our best selves.
Yeah.
So here we are for our kind of season wrap up. Not feeling it's our best selves partly because, well, two reasons. I think one, it's the end of the year and it's just really busy with client stuff, with kid stuff, with family stuff. There's just a lot, and it wears us down. And each of us have identified old patterns that we get in, and we're trying not to be in those patterns, but then we're not in the safety of the old patterns, and we're just kind of in a new space, and that doesn't always feel good.
Yeah.
As we talked about with Karen Davies, right?
Yeah, the untethering. One of the things we did want to talk today is when I'm in these spaces where I know I have practices of gratitude. I've got the things. I'm very organized. I know all the tools. And believe me, I'm trying all of the tools every day. And sometimes this it don't work. And it's hard.
And sometimes you're tired and you just need a break and just need a rest, which is why we're going to take a few weeks off from recording and do some bigger picture planning. So we're going to take that break.
Yes. And what I was going to finish with is we can often utilize, rather than cognitively trying to think through the things, right? Because right now I'm kind of in this space and I'm like, my business, and I've got to do another spreadsheet and think of the goals and do the things. And meanwhile, I feel, to your point, tired, and I feel upset, and I'm feeling all sorts of things. And I will explain what it feels like, because today's episode is really about utilizing the body as a tool. Because we have all these tools like practicing gratitude, and we write lists with all the things, but sometimes the body needs that space. And for me,
a tool for what?
A tool for moving forward. For me, it's sometimes we can get stuck, inundated, overwhelmed, and then we have lots of tools that can help us.
And I would make the distinction of practicing being connected to our bodies and moving forward from that place as a distinction, because one of the reasons I feel the way I feel is that I have such a lifelong habit of like shoving myself to the side and just running after the thing that needs to get done. And when I do that for, a few days, that's fine. But when I do that for like, let's say 2.5 weeks straight, then I get to a point where I just I can't even enjoy things because I'm just so depleted and so exhausted. So, and then I got to kind of rebuild. So that's an old pattern that I find myself in, where I'm not even connected to myself because I've depleted myself so much. So I just want to be clear that we're talking about when we're in a stuck place, how do we use the tool of embodiment to move forward? And I would propose, I feel like I'm trying to live more connected to my body as a practice.
Coaching and embodiment and somatics is a huge topic. Huge topic. And there are coaches who specifically work on somatic work. And I personally have benefited from that as someone who has PTSD. So I think it's really important that we say, we're going to talk about it in a lightweight way today. And in the next season, we want to make sure we bring on some experts to really talk about the somatic work people do. Because like I said, there are coaches out there that's one of their biggest practices, and it can make a life-changing difference. I know it's helped me a lot. I'm just going to say how I feel in this moment, because you talked about your old patterning. My pattern is to shove how I feel down and to it's similar, right? Like, I don't care if you feel upset or sad or you need a minute. I just need you to perform. Like, just do the things and shut up and keep moving. And so that is literally like how it feels. I feel the rib cage is so tight and the chest can get so tight because the inside stuff is like, I need some space to be upset. And then the outside's like, you're going to stay in the closet and you're not going to feel the things. So I think it's really important because it's for me to recognize that's how it feels. So then I can work through this stuck place that I often feel in my chest. So we can talk about that a little bit too, because we can feel like the stuck place in our actual bodies, which is wild.
Yes. And often with our clients, they might talk about something, right? So talk about how their brain is like, well, just have this conversation and be direct. But their body's like, no, and it feels something very different. And I might ask clients very often, well, where do you feel that? And some people can answer that and some people can't. And that's okay.
Yeah. And I think it's what you just said is it's okay. And there's no need to shame yourself that you might not be showing up exactly. So it's kind of a nice way to look at it is say, there's nothing wrong with you, but this is maybe an indicator that there's some disconnect between the brain and body. And we have to know where that is so that we can get unstuck from there.
So Iris, you just used a word, the body as like an indicator light. So I'm just submitted a book proposal for a book, The Body Self, an Inside Out Experience of Body Image, which is all about a different approach to negative body image. Now, how is that related? We often say the body is an indicator light, right? Just like in your car, right? There's a little light that goes off. There's a dashboard that says something's not quite right. And I think very often when we feel like you described, like the tightness in the chest, when I like can't take enjoyment in things because I'm so tired, right? I think very often intellectually we're like, what's wrong with you? Come on, right? Rather than saying, oh, there's a little light flashing on my dashboard. I need to pay attention to it. It's something, it's telling me something. So I think we're in a culture, and as athletes, we were trained not to listen to the body. Shut up. Let's get the job done. You are inconveniencing me. But I think the older I get, I have to listen to my body. It has really important things to tell me. And in order to get my best performance, my best experience of life, I have to be connected to it. So I just want to propose that idea of the body and what it's feeling and maybe what symptoms it's having as like an indicator light that we need to get to the shop.
As someone who has PTSD, it is really important for me to listen to indicator lights. Like right now, if I don't listen to the body, it will turn itself eventually into a panic attack, which will then last for quite a while. And I've done things like had such a bad panic attack where I went to urgent care and was like, I'm having a heart attack. Like to the point where I feel like I was having a heart attack and I have numbness on my arms and like all the things. And I remember going to the hospital, sitting in the bed, and they're like, you're totally fine. You're great. Like you do CrossFit, you're fine. Your heart's fine. We did the EKG, everything's fine. And so I think as someone with PTSD and with trauma, I think you are just used to like holding things and being like, I don't want to feel that. And we just have to move forward. And there's a real disconnect. And so it's taken me a long time to know, like, when I'm starting to feel this way, like I'm feeling today, I need to slow down and I need to just take a break if I need to. I've had to actually like take a nap, because I just need to slow down the body a lot, because the other pattern is to speed up the body. If I just kind of run through it, it'll go away. So I do think the indicator light is really important. And for me, it's hugely important. If I don't listen to it, which I often don't, I am getting better at it. It will turn itself into something else. And so, so I think that's important.
Yeah. And I think so many of our clients come to us thinking, I'm stuck. And they sort of say in passing, well, I'm really frustrated with this, or I feel really sad, or I feel I'm having a hard time with this particular colleague, and, I can't show up the way I want to. And they think we're going to sort of push them to a behavior or an outcome. Whereas I often say, well, wait, let's listen. Let's listen to that part, that frustrated part, that sad part that can't show up the way it can show up in other places. And if they can do that, if they can do the listening, we often get where they want to go, but just not at all the way they thought they would. And so I've been, as part of my fatigue management, I've been watching this like 1980s Canadian show about like a horse ranch, right? And there's this woman who's like a horse whisperer. And she says, I'm not a horse whisperer. I just know how to listen to horses. And I love that, right? Because I think that's the indicator light. Like, can we learn to listen to our bodies and learn its language? And learn to translate its language. I mean, I think that's so much of what the embodied coaching, somatics is. It's just even the very process of pausing and slowing down and practicing listening to what it has to say versus like, get yourself in line and do the thing.
There was never safety created for me. So I think I had to learn how to build that safe space, right? So sometimes listening to your body is really hard, right? Because it's easier, and I told you this even before we started, is it's easier to be uncomfortable in the way that I'm used to being uncomfortable.
Yes.
If it's easier
the old patterns.
Yeah, the old patterns are a lot easier because I know those. Those are really familiar. And if I don't just ignore it and then keep going, then I won't, the words in my head is I won't get to where I want to go. But I've learned over time that it's actually not true, where I end up being sick or something's happening or I have a panic attack. So I do have to stop and slow down. And there isn't a lot of safety in that. There's not external safety, right? Like, in our world, especially in the United States and our culture, we do not slow down for anything, anyone, or anytime. So taking a break is often, for high performers, taking a break is often seen as weak, disruptive, and you're never going to get back on, right? And so that's, for me, one of the things I feel a lot too is if I slow down, I'm never going to come back. I'm never going to be successful because I'm slowing down. And we talked about that a little bit with Kelly Owens, our episode. So I think you have to do these things and be able to listen. And I'm saying this out of experience and even just coaching myself in the moment. And you have to trust that it's going to work. But it's a long-term effort, right? Like, right, today I'm going to slow down. I'm going to listen to the fact that I have this tightness in my chest. I'm going to allow it to be. I'm going to listen for what it needs. But at the same time, I'm also holding this other voice of like, what the hell are you doing? What are you doing slowing down? We got to speed up. That's what we do. We got to speed up. We got to do the things because then that's how we're going to fix it. So I think it is hard. It's hard to do this work.
It's very hard. And that's why I think it's an incremental journey. And it happens slowly over time. And I know you hate that. But it's just like, training our bodies to be in the top shape they can be, training our bodies to slow down or training to take more breaks or training to listen. Like that takes a long time because it takes a long time to build the skills and the safety. Because as you said, like we might feel untethered and unsafe. And I think that's where I always say to my clients, like, you always have a choice. You could go right back to 1,000,000 miles an hour if you want, or you could practice taking breaks, slowing, doing more of what you feel drawn to. I love Mel Robbins she's so full of wonderful tidbits, but she has this exercise. She's like, I challenge you to wake up in the morning and think of 5 things you'd like to do. Doesn't mean you're going to do them, but if you just develop the practice of thinking, gosh, what would I like to do? What are 5 things I'd like to do? Would I like to read on the porch for 5 minutes? Would I like to go swimming in a lake? Would I like to watch TV? Would I like to, get to this part of the work I love that I can't seem to get to? Like, what would you like to do? And just getting in touch with our wants, I think, is also getting in touch, is an embodiment practice.
I did want to say I've used embodiment, and the concept of safety is, I like when I'm working in this way, using the body as a way to help people feel agency and safety. So I'll give you an example of, I have a client who often doesn't like to network or be in big group settings. And it's often just really hard for this person. And they wanted to start, they said, I'm ready to, and this is important. She said, I'm ready to start speaking up about the things that I'm doing. And when I'm in these big group settings with the top level people, I want to be able to comfortably talk about the things I'm doing or comfortably have a conversation. And it was a reasonable request. And on top of it, she said, this is really what I want. I know I can do it. And this is what I really want. So we talked about what it would feel like. And this is I kind of did this with fencing too, is what would it feel like you walked in and felt nervous? And so she would explain to me where she felt it, how she felt her nerves, how her breath was feeling. So we asked about it. Like, does it feel heavy? Do you feel like your heart is racing? Do you feel hot? Do you feel cold? So I'd ask her a series of questions of, what does it feel like to be nervous? Then we practiced thinking through, what would it feel like if we just slowed down and grounded? Because she does some yoga. And so she said, if I feel my feet underneath me, if I feel the ground, I feel literally grounded. And then automatically just telling herself, I feel my feet on the ground, helped her slow down her heart rate, helped her be more present.
Grounding is such a powerful tactic. Even just like, can you feel your feet, or can you feel a part of your body that feels comfortable? Can you just tap into that?
Yeah. And then she went to an event. She walked in, felt really uncomfortable, felt those same feelings kind of come up, heart racing, hot, feeling like she's sort of disconnected, disembodied. And then she started the practice of, okay, I'm here, I'm putting my feet on the ground. And then she even put her hands on her legs, like, I feel my legs, I'm here, I'm present. And then bringing her back and feeling safe again. So that feeling of like coming back to her body and feeling safe in her body, to be there, to be present. It's okay to be present. So she's embodying that sense of safety, to be present to the thing that is a little bit scary for her. So with Henna, she talks about that cringe chasm, but this is it. Like that was her chasm to cross. And the way in was to feel her body present and safe in her body. And she said it was fine. I started talking to people. It was good. There was one point where there was an uncomfortable seating arrangement, and I started to feel myself sort of floating up and being really restless and heart racing. And then she just did another exercise, feeling her feet in the ground, kind of coming back to her body and feeling safe again in her body, and then was able to continue on. No one on the outside will ever know. No one could probably tell or recognize it. But she had a tool to bring herself back and feel embodied and present and safe within herself in a place that she wanted. She was like, you know what? I really want to show up in this place.
Well, I think that we are going to be talking more about embodiment in our bodies in when we come back in the fall. And I think we forget sometimes that our bodies have been with us our entire lives, and their sole purpose has been to take care of us. It is created to help take care of us, body, mind, and spirit. And, I turned 50 on Sunday of this week, and I've been really, I did all the things and the party and I got my hair done, like all those things. But I want to sit down and write a letter to my body, because over these past 50 years, I've been good to it and bad to it and bad to it and tried to be good to it, but it has been my companion. And I really want to enter, this next season, this next chapter, like firmly, like as a team with it. And I think that's sort of what, if my work boils down to, or what I care about kind of teaching others, is like how to be connected to your body in a loving, kind way. And so many of us we're not trained how to do that. So that's what I'm going to do for my birthday, is take some time and write a letter to it. And I think that's what I'd love for us to continue to explore, is like, how do you have your body be like your ultimate teammate and be a really good teammate to it? Because that leads to some not only amazing performances, but like satisfaction and intuition and wisdom and creativity and balance and all the things that we say we want when we're saying fuck you to our bodies simultaneously.
I think it's a good question. We're ending the season and we can ask ourselves, are we frenemies with our bodies?
Yeah.
Or are we support teammates to our bodies? And in what
are we
ways
listening?
Yeah. In what ways might we be displaying those behaviors? Like, in what ways do you feel like a frenemy? And for me, that's working out, that's body image. In what places do you feel like it's supporting? And I'm like, oh man, myself and my body, we're in sync when we're lifting that really heavy weight off the ground, and we love it. And so I think it's important to sort of take stock in those two places. And I love your idea of wherever you feel some sort of antagonistic relationship with your body, you can write a letter and to this person. You can ask for it, ask for what you want from it. You can
apologize.
I think there's probably a lot of apologizing I need to do to my knees and hips, but and back. But yeah, I love that idea. And we're ending the season with your awesome 50th birthday party.
It's bye 49. Bye everyone. So I think what I would love to leave everyone with for the summer is floating the idea of the wake up and what are 5 things you'd like to do that day. You don't need to do them, but just connecting with that. And what would it mean if you listened a tiny bit more to what your body was telling you, to the indicator lights? Those would be my summer inquiries. What would you leave everybody with, Iris?
I think have a little joy this summer.
Yeah.
Enjoy it. Take a little stock in the things that you're doing well. Congratulate yourselves.
Yes. 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 Yes.
And I want to say congratulations to us for starting the podcast. Yes. And just a thank you to you, and a thank you to us.
Yeah, and thank you for the people who are listening.
And thank you to Scott.
It makes it a podcast.
Well, thank you to Scott, because he's back here and you don't see him, but he makes sure all the...
Say hi, Scott.
Hi, Scott.
So we want to thank everyone and a huge bit of gratitude. We're going to take the summer off, and we will be back in the fall. So thanks for listening, and please subscribe. And Whitney, what do we say at the end of every Untrained?
Keep on training.
Keep on training.
Keep on training.